2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Blair Athol or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.
Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. My guest today made his name in comedy and radio, broadcasting every morning from the very same building I'm in right now. Merrick Watts spent years hosting the breakfast show on Nova in Sydney, one half of the comedy duo Merrick and Rosso. In the years since the show wrapped up, Merrick has only increased his output, including programs on other radio stations, podcasts, TV shows, a wine and comedy business, and then a hugely successful appearance on the show SAS Australia. The gruelling program, which puts celebrities through the incredibly difficult SAS selection course, saw Merrick come out on top. This year, he co-founded a new company, a sports hydration drink called Posca Hydrate. Merrick Watts joins me in the studio. Merrick, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Sean, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So I was mentioned off air, I've been listening to this podcast since 2020 during COVID when the lockdowns happened. I found this podcast and listened to it every single day when I was training for SAS Australia. So there you go. Hakuna Matata.
I take that as a... Hey,
you know what that means?
No.
Circle of life. You need to watch more Disney films.
Yeah,
Let's move on, Sean.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Mustafa said it. Tell me, SAS Australia.
Yes.
Why?
For a few reasons. I love a challenge. I do like to do something. I'm particularly drawn to two types of things. I'm drawn to things that people think that I can't do, that they think I'm not capable of, and things that I've never done before. So if it's something I've never done before, or if it's something that people think I'm not capable of, I'll end up doing those two things.
What was it like?
It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. It was worse than it appears on television.
Right.
Within the first 24 hours, I'd sustained 2 fractured ribs and continued for 14 days without any medication or medical treatment whatsoever. And it was very, very tough going. But I look back at it now and it was formative, absolutely formative.
So why? It was life-changing?
Definitely life-changing, 100% life-changing, because I went in one person and I came out another. And I went out, I went in to regain myself, to regain my, I suppose, mental composure and my mental strength and my confidence. But when I came out, it was accelerated. It was far greater an impact than I anticipated. And
is that because you put yourself through things you didn't think you could do?
It's because I did things that I knew other people couldn't do, that the average person couldn't do, that wouldn't select to do. You know, they don't have to be Superman or Superwoman to do it. It was more just about fulfilling my desire to do what I said I was going to do. It's an imperative thing to me. Is if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. That's it. It gets done, no matter what the cost. So to be able to, I didn't openly go around saying, I'm going to go and smash SAS Australia, but privately to my wife and to my family, I said, I'm going to complete that course and I'll come home victorious.
You're doing Kokoda shortly.
Next week.
Does that fall in the same bucket?
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to pick out a yearly challenge, something that is difficult, something that is literally quite painful. If it's not painful, it's not usually worth doing, because I believe that the growth comes from suffering. So if you deliberately find things that are hard, tough, physically and mentally, then you can grow from that. And for me, life is all about growth.
You're obviously very fit, but how much of this is actually a mental challenge rather than a physical challenge?
I'd say a lot of the great physical achievements that anybody gets, whether they achieve those in sport or through their own hobbies, I think if it's difficult, it's mental. It's probably something like SAS Australia, I think it was probably 60, 70% mental. It's just the ability to suffer pain. It's the ability to go forward when others will stop, and to go forward when you want to stop, to recognise that, failure is always a possibility, but it's not an option. And that's the difference. So I think, failure is absolutely a possibility. You can attempt anything and you could fail, absolutely, but it's not an option. I think that's the mental barricade that some people are able to leap and just say, no, it's an option, but I won't take it.
Changing course here, a sports hydration drink. Why? Give me the background on that one.
I'm a qualified wine expert, amongst other things, and I was...
So actually, I saw that.
Yeah.
Are you literally, in terms of wine tasting, is that qualification or wine tasting?
Yes, I'm a qualified wine judge.
Where'd you fit that one in?
Well, I see, I'm a man of many talents. You see, you're surprised that I can read. This is quite common. People are very surprised and pleasantly when they find out I can read. No, I'm a qualified wine expert. I've got what they call level 3, Westset level 3 in wine, and I'm a Barossa master as well. So I've studied wine for many years. When I left radio, I started studying wine so that I could have a better appreciation of the wine industry and the people that I was working with in events. And it was during lockdown, the second set of lockdown, I was researching for a wine show that I was writing called An Idiot's Guide to Wine, which is now about to go into its 3rd iteration. And I discovered an ancient formula for a drink called Posca. It was an ancient Roman formula for a drink that was the drink of the gladiators and the warriors and the social elite and emperors and plebs, and everybody drank this drink. And it was a form, they didn't know it at the time, but it was an excellent form of hydration based on very, very basic ingredients. And I read about it in lockdown. And I thought, I'll give that a crack. Because what else am I going to do? Talk to my family? No, thank you. I mean, you were just saying off air, Sean, about how much you despise your own family. And I was like, wow, that's strong. He never said that.
He didn't
say
that
No, it doesn't matter as if
he
your family
didn't.
listen to this. I mean, seriously, they've got lives to lead.
They love it, especially when
do
Merrick's
they?
on.
Do
Yeah,
they?
absolutely. You know, the funny thing, though, I mean, you're actually being dead serious about its origins,
Yes.
Posca, because I mean, you're a comedian, we know that, but you're not joking here. You're serious.
No, absolutely. That's the funny thing is, like, I am a comedian and I take comedy very, very seriously, but everything I do, I take seriously. I prepare for everything I do, which is why I do things like a coda. I do a lot of preparation. And even for Posca, we launched Posca Hydrate at the end of last year, but it was 4 years in the making. Yeah. And that took everything. And I prepared myself in all sorts of different ways. I went and studied at the Australian Institute of Company Directors so that I have an appreciation of board dynamics and how to structure a company effectively, and also importantly, how to pick partners and find investment and all those things. So and I got a little bit of information along the way from your podcast, genuinely. And that's kind of started that process. But yeah, everything I do quite seriously.
We take our advertisers very seriously.
They're excellent advertisers. Your advertisers are some of the best in the business.
They are.
Name some of them.
We'll be back in a minute.
2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Blair Athol or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.
I'm speaking to Merrick Watts, comedian and co-founder of Posca Hydrate. Okay, before the break, you said you went and did an AICD course, which,
yes.
you know, kind of along with your wine tasting and knowledge of Roman history has surprised me today. What is it that you found in terms of launching a business, 4 years in development? You know, what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way there?
Everyone will tell you that it's twice as hard as you think it's going to be. And I don't think that's true. I think it's about 30 times harder than anybody will tell you. It's interesting. I think that the difficult parts for me are, and I'm still very much in the process of learning. I'm constantly observing and learning. And I think sometimes when a comedian is quiet, the people might confuse us for being disinterested. But often I find myself being quiet in certain circumstances because I need to absorb, I need to learn, and I'm learning on the run. So it's the uptake of information is massive. You have to learn very, very fast, and you have to make decisions accordingly. So I think that's been a huge awakening for me of how difficult it is to be across so many aspects of a very seriously designed business. This is not a small business. This is a company with a board with very, very experienced members across it. So I've had to raise my standards in preparation just to join it, and then I continually find I need to constantly raise my own standards.
Red Bull, Gatorade, Powerade, you're taking on some pretty heavy players out there.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not directly taking on anyone. The great thing about Posca Hydrate is we kind of sit as a very, very unique drink. We are in our own little camp, in our own little circle, but we obviously have designs to be as big as we can possibly be. But I don't feel like we're taking on the titans of the industry, but I suppose they view anybody as a threat, no doubt. But at the moment, we're just trying to find our feet and do our very, very best and offer an alternative. And that's the most important thing is, somebody like Red Bull, which, strangely everyone goes, oh, do you not like it? And I go, no, I like Red Bull. But I can't drink Red Bull after midday. It's not for me. It jacks me up, whereas something like Posca Hydrate delivers all the hydration and all the other benefits. And to me, that's the yin and the yang. So I say I like to do things that haven't been done before. And to me, Posca fits that mold. It's not been done before. It is a unique drink. It's got all these hydration benefits, but it doesn't have any caffeine or stimulants or anything like that. It's a different type of drink. It's not an energy drink.
Now, at the moment, where's it sold?
It's sold in petrol and convenience stores right around the country and starting to move into other small grocers as well, independent grocers, and shops as well. So it's in about 2,500 locations around Australia.
Yep. What's the goal?
The goal? The dream or the goal?
Hold on. You just hesitated. Well, you never hesitate. And there's like a split second.
No, because there's a difference between dreams and goals. The goal is obviously to create a very, very successful, large-scale drinks and beverage company. The dream is to have a drink that was made, designed, and nurtured here in Australia that then can go onto a global platform. I would love to see this drink internationally. That's my goal. I'd love that because it's a sense of achievement.
You called yourself a comedian. You've done it a couple of times in this
interview. Well, that's
interview.
because I am, Sean, and a very good one. Thank you.
I was just going to reiterate that.
Thank you.
Do you want to be a businessman or a comedian?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. At the moment, I live between two identities, and yet I don't identify myself particularly to one association because I think that's dangerous, and I reckon I've got in trouble with that in the past, and it was a learning for me that I got through SAS Australia, is that before I went on SAS Australia, I identified myself too strongly as a radio personality.
Yep.
And because my personal identity was too heavily anchored to that, when I was no longer doing that, even though it was of my own volition, it was a crash of identity. So then I redesigned my identity, and it was a real struggle for me. It really was. And I battled very, very heavily with the idea that I was a jack of all trades and a master of none because I have so many different interests. What I've come to realize is that I am actually a polymath and I have multiple qualifications across many different sectors, many of them incongruous. But that's what makes me unique. So by being me, I am myself and I am my truest form. I am unique. So to answer your question, I'm a comedian when I choose to be. I'm a businessman when I choose to be. I'm a weekend warrior when I choose to be. Yeah. So being able to go through the different mindsets and very rapidly too, to be able to be, dexterous enough to move through the different mindsets, I love that. I love being challenged to move through the mental landscape.
You have to be really confident within yourself though to do that, because what you're talking about is quite a challenge.
It is.
To actually have the confidence, I can be a comedian, I can be an audio person, I can be a business person.
Yeah. And look, that came from great challenge, great personal challenge. I literally had to break down my personality through a process, and it was very confronting. And then I looked at all the different aspects of my personality and asked myself a lot of very hard questions. But at the end of it, I came out and went, you are you. The culmination of all your interests, the culmination of all your expertise makes you unique, which is the one thing I want to be. I want to be unique. I want to be me. So I am incredibly confident in who I am and what I do as a result of the decisions I've made to address that and to have awareness around that, but also too around the disciplines that I employ on a daily level to make sure that I can do those things.
Merrick, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Is that it?
That's it.
Is that the podcast?
All over.
You don't get paid for this, do you?
You don't get paid for this.
Somebody should get paid.
That was Merrick Watts, comedian, businessman, master of all, entrepreneur, there you go. And of course, most importantly at the moment, co-founder of Posca Hydrate. This is the Fear and Greed business interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.
Two words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Blair Athol or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.